Around 980 years after the incarnation of Jesus Christ, an ealdorman named Æthelwald put quill to parchment and wrote a chronicle detailing the story of the world from creation to the year 975. In his works, he mentions an event so grand, so gruesome, that his contemporaries of 40 years later say that it is still called the Great Battle. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle's entry for the year of this great battle, 937 AD, tells us, "Never yet as many killed before this, with sword's edge." This was the Battle of Brunanburh, a battle so bloody it stained the fields red. Why did it happen? Who was there? What were the consequences for Britain as a whole? Let's find out. Æthelstan became king of the West Saxons in 924 and king of the English in 927. By the time he had ascended to the throne, Vikings had been laying waste to the island of Britain and shattering its kingdoms into pieces for the best part of the last century. Only Wessex stood in its entirety, largely thanks to his grandfather, Alfred the Great, whom there is a series about on this channel. But Alfred's successors, Edward the Elder and his son Æthelstan, were gradually exerting their dominance over the whole island, slowly but surely taking back the land and the strongholds that the Vikings had stolen, ultimately culminating in Æthelstan's conquest of York, or Jorvik, in 927, which by this stage you could say was a traditionally Viking place. Æthelstan was now the king of the English, but his sights went even further, as did those who admired him. Chroniclers and poets would title him Rex Totius Britanniae, king of the whole of Britain, because not only had Æthelstan birthed what we now call England, but he was a supreme leader over the other kings of the island. In this year of 927, these other kings such as Owain of Strathclyde, Hywel of Deheubarth in Wales, Aldred of Bamber, as well as King Constantine II of the Scots, acknowledged his overlordship in Cumbria at what is referred to as the Treaty of Aymont Bridge. However, in the year 934, Constantine II withdrew his loyalty to Æthelstan, and the result was devastating. Æthelstan led an army deep into his land of Alba, torched his crops, pillaged his villages, and ripped apart his strongholds. After this, we have charter evidence of Constantine II signing documents as subregulus, or underking. He was well and truly humbled, and once again submitted to Æthelstan's supremacy. But this humiliation was not the end of his treason, and other rulers in Britain were troubled by the growing power of Æthelstan. Constantine wanted desperately to remove his subordination to the Saxon king, so he struck up a deal with another unhappy party. Olaf Guthrifsson was a powerful warlord, a Viking ruling in Dublin. He was vexed by the removal of Viking leadership in York after Æthelstan's conquest, as it was Olaf's family who had ruled it prior. They both had a common enemy, giving them every reason to become friends. In the autumn of 937, Constantine, together with Owain of Strathclyde, marched south as Olaf sailed across the Irish Sea with an enormous fleet primed for war and bloodshed, in order to join up with his new allies. This was a terrifying coalition. Two of the most powerful kings in Britain behind Æthelstan, alongside a famously savage Viking. This was a threat that could tear apart everything the House of Wessex had been building towards for generations. But Æthelstan did not cower. He marched his men northward and was joined by men as they travelled. He was going to face these armies head on. They met on the fields of Brunanburh, the English against their foes. Shield walls clashed together and blood was spilled. It's said that the battle lasted an entire day. The fields were red, thousands of bodies lay on the ground, but Æthelstan had won the day. The brave men of Wessex and Mercia had defeated this frightening coalition. Olaf and his men fled to their ships. Constantine fled the battlefield also, leaving his son's lifeless corpse amongst the many who perished that day. 5 minor kings from the side of the coalition had been killed. 7 of Olaf's earls were dead also. England was here to stay. Æthelstan's power was going to grow. Never on this island before such killing. The Battle of Brunanburh solidified England as a nation, and cemented Æthelstan as the overlord of all British kings. Historians are still unsure as to where the Battle of Brunanburh took place, so I'm sorry I can't give much details on that, but if you have any theories, let me know in a comment. If you've gotten this far into the video, please consider liking and subscribing. I really do try to make these videos enjoyable for you, so I hope I've achieved that. Have a wonderful day, and Godspeed.